Here at the Victim Service Center, we like to say that healing begins here. And here are just a few stories from Tracy, Savannah, and Maria of how their healing journey began.
Yeah, when I was 16 years old, I had been in a relationship with a man that was much too old for me and should never have taken place to begin with. And at the time that we had ended it and hadn't seen this person for a long time, he called me up one day and said, "Oh, I'm finally gonna give your stuff back to you. Come and meet me at this hotel I'm staying at." And I went, thinking I was just gonna grab my stuff and leave. I went by myself. And that turned into being locked into that room and not allowed to leave and being raped at the hotel. And I had carried with me for so long feeling like shame and guilt for going in the first place, for not fighting hard enough, for not being able to get away from this situation, that I just believed everything had been my fault and tried to shut it out of my life and move forward. And, during the Me Too movement and having all of those feelings come back to me really is what caused me to go to Victim Service Center and reach out, and I'm so thankful that I did. After my individual therapy with Victim Service Center ended, maybe about 3 months afterwards, I was just sitting in a random doctor's appointment for a checkup, and this man that raped me walked in and sat down in the seat across from me. And I felt frozen in that seat for a minute. But I really believe, thankfully, to the therapy that I received at VSC, I was able to confront that man in that moment. Never could have known that was going to happen. I'm grateful that I didn't break down completely in that moment and had the strength to confront him and at least let him know that his idea of that moment and my idea of that moment couldn't be further from the truth. And that felt amazing. That's something that I hold on to, that I was able to have that recognition moment of what had happened to me, and to be able to make sure that I confronted him as well, and he knew what he had done. And I would never have been able to survive that moment without VSC.
In 2013, I started going to counseling because when I was younger, I started being sexually abused by a neighbor around the age of 5. And then both of my parents were drug addicts and alcoholics, and I was always told that you don't talk about what happens at home or I would be taken to a bad place. And so I never talked about the things that happened at home. And the abuse continued. My mom got involved with more drugs, and she started prostituting herself for her drugs. And there was a time when I was 11 and she took me with her, and her drug dealer offered her a $10 piece of crack for me instead of for her. And so she started selling me to him, and he would take and sell me to other people. And so I had a whole childhood of being abused. When I was 13, I went to foster care. And I started cutting myself to deal with the emotional pain. And so cutting became a coping mechanism for me. And I was moved from group home to group home and eventually placed in a residential treatment center for kids in foster care. And there, the staff were friends with my traffickers, so I continued being trafficked when I was in foster care. But then my oldest brother got custody of me when I was 15, and I went to live with him, and I ended up becoming friends with my high school guidance counselor and became part of her family. But I never told anybody what happened to me before that, and I continued being a victim because I didn't know how not to be a victim. But then in 2013, I finally started going to counseling, and my therapist felt like I needed more than she could give me, and she found a support group at Victim Service Center, and I started going to the support group. The first time I went to the support group, I didn't want to be there. I only went because my therapist told me that I had to go. And I didn't really talk the first time because I didn't plan on going back after 3 times. But it was kind of neat to hear like other people talk about some of their experiences, and that's when I started realizing how common sexual abuse is, and that other people have been through it too, and they've experienced some of the same feelings and stuff that I have. One of the most beneficial parts of attending the support group at Victim Service Center was just having a safe place to go and building connections with other survivors of sexual assault, and having people to talk to about different thoughts and feelings that I've had. I think some of the changes that I have made is just learning how to take better care of myself and my safety, how not to be a victim, and also speaking out about the things that have happened to me in order to help other people. I speak out because when I was younger, I always wanted to know somebody that had been through something similar as I have and was doing well and succeeding in life, because I didn't think it was possible. And then I also speak because it helps other people to come forward and know they're not alone and get the help that they need.
I had an experience that I was not really sure was normal. So my friend I talked to her about it, and I confided in her, and I was like, this is weird. And she was like, yeah, that's not quite right. So I think you should call the Victim Service Center in Orlando. And she quick Googled the hotline number and she texted it to me, and she said, you should call Victim Services because they'll be able to help you out. So as soon as I did that, on the other side of the phone was a very calm voice, and I repeated what my experience was to them, and they listened to everything I had to say. And I was kind of going all over the place because it had just happened recently, and they told me, everything's gonna be okay. They gave me the resources that I needed. I made an appointment with Victim Service Center in the next couple of days to come back in. But then I confided in my mom, and I was like, hey Mom, I think I need help, so I'm gonna go to the Victim Service Center in like a couple days. But she's like, you need help now? So we called the hotline again, and this time the voice on the other side of the line was just as calm, and she said, you can come in right now and we can get you help right now. So I came in, and as soon as I got there, and she was my case handler from that point on, and she was just she wanted to listen to everything I had to say. She didn't rush me, and it all just happened so fast, but I felt like, these people are gonna take care of me. I got through the rape test kit, and then it was time for the police to come and take my questions and listen to my story, and that part is nerve-wracking as well, but she was right there with me, and she just kept encouraging me to keep telling my story, tell them everything I was comfortable with, and I felt like if I hadn't called that hotline, I might have delayed getting treatment, getting the help I needed until way later than I ever would have gotten. I was in therapy with Victim Service Center for about 18 months. I went through individual therapy sessions, and then my last 6 months, I was in a group therapy setting. And that really, I think when I started therapy, I thought, okay, I'll get this done. I'll tie it up in a little pretty bow and be done. And that's not really how it happens. I've been in and out of therapy for about 5 years now, but Victim Service Center was my introductory to therapy, and really helped start my journey to healing. Being able to tell my story to with other people that have also experienced it in a group therapy setting was very helpful, because then it didn't feel like I was so alone. I'd never been in something so traumatic that happened to me, but the way the Victim Service Center helped me recognize it's okay.
As the healing journey continues for Savannah, Maria, and Tracy, I just want you to know that our services are here, readily available 24 hours a day for anyone that might be the victim of some kind of traumatic event or sexual assault or other type of violent crime. And we want you to reach out. We are the community resource for all of Central Florida. We have offices in Orange County, Osceola County, Seminole County, and we are here to serve our community with free, available resources. So if you or someone you loved or some friend needs service, please reach out, contact us here at Victim Service Center.